Go. All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Multiverse Show, Season 5, Episode 25, the greatest show on Mondays, back from our little September or August summer break, I guess. We normally do like a late summer break of some sort. Um, we normally will pop in if like something big happens, but we're finally back to talk about something that actually did happen. So we had a couple things we want to cover, but first off, let's do our introduction of our panel. First off, we have the Caesar of cinema, the Baron of Britain himself, Mr. James Wilson.
Everybody, I'm trying to keep it down because my flatmates are asleep in the next room, but I'm here for all of the shenanigans in an excited way, but also a restrained vocal way.
All right, and we also have the Donna Deletion, the gaming Gambino himself, Mr. Mike P. the Truth.
What is going on, everybody? It's Mike. Your favorite crotchety curmudgeon is back in the realm of the multiverse. We have a great show planned for you guys tonight, so let's get it started.
All right, and we also have the White Wolf, Mr. Samuel Tolbert from Windows Central. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. It just feels nice to have stuff to talk about, honestly. And James, I have to say, specifically, I approve of your new ASMR mode. It's nice.
Nice. All right, so we'll ask the question we ask every time we have a show. What have you guys been playing? It's been a good long time, so you got plenty of games that have come out. No excuses. What you guys been playing? James, you had a chance to play anything, or you just been working hard?
I have been playing some games. They're not like as new as you probably would like to be. Mostly going through the stuff that's come out on PS Plus. Finally playing Hitman 2. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. The big one for me was when Hades got released on the new consoles, and I have been rinsing that game. That thing is unbelievably good. I'm not the biggest fan of roguelikes in general, but for this, I will make a huge exception. I love Hades. I mean, I'm very late to the party. Hades, good game. Winner of the game, best game of the Game Awards and the BAFTAs. So striking while the iron is cold, but god damn, it's brilliant.
All right. Let's see, Mikey, what you been playing, sir?
I've been on more of a casual gaming vibe for most of the summer. One game that's taken up a ton of my time on Xbox has been Flight Simulator. It's really great. It has like that really chill vibe in the same way that a game like No Man's Sky does. I'm really enjoying that. One thing that I would recommend, I do actually have the flight stick, the Thrustmaster flight stick, which I actually won in an Instagram contest. So thank you for the Flight Simulator folks in Xbox for that opportunity. But it totally changes it playing it on the flight stick versus a controller. It's a lot less awkward and a lot more precise. The other game I've been playing a lot over the course of the summer, I know that this game has been out on PC for a while, and I know that it's technically still in beta, but depending on how the rest of the year shakes out, I'm going to be making a pretty strong case for Splitgate to be in my top 5 games of the year when we do our award show. I love that game. The whole Halo meets Portal vibe. Actually, it feels a little bit more like Overwatch to me than Halo because of the fast time to kill and everything, but I am loving that game. The gunplay is great. The portals are integrated into the game really well. It's got a battle pass system that makes sense, free to play. I've absolutely been loving Splitgate. That's probably my biggest surprise of the year so far.
Yeah, I played a little Splitgate. It's a good time. I don't know how it's going to survive when Halo drops, but it's good. I've enjoyed it. But all right. I know for me, I've been playing. I've definitely been using this time as well to really kind of like clean up my backlog in particular. I've gone through actually a lot of stuff. One of the things I've actually been surprised with initially, but like so glad I did, was I went back and played the original Psychonauts for the first time. And oh my gosh, like I fell in love with that game. Like I didn't, and this is coming from someone who does not like Tim Schafer as a man. I've met Tim Schafer, don't like him. But I fell in love with this. Now I'm like, now I have to respect him. Damn it. So for me, I fell in love with it. The writing is excellent. The gameplay is just spot on. It because they're not going for realistic graphics and they weren't trying to be like artsy and cute with any of the designs at all. Like it has aged so well. And then like going from playing that game to playing Psychonauts 2, oh my gosh, Psychonauts 2 is a blast. That is a great game. I have just been absolutely stunned by it. I would say like definitely if you're Microsoft and like this particular season right now from September onward, like you better be proud. Like this is where you start seeing like, okay, you made some good acquisitions here. Like Psychonauts 2, like it scored really well on Metacritic, almost universal acclaim and belovedness. And now we got like Deathloop, which yeah, it's a timed PS exclusive, but now it's like, hey, you got some money with Double Fine, and like you're gonna do good, real good with Arcane. You're gonna solve that problem with not having good critical scores. So I'm in love with it. I've absolutely had a blast with it. I've been dabbling a little bit more, going to Fallout 76 again, but it's mostly been Psychonauts here for the last month and a half. So good times.
I've been looking into finally getting a new console, and I'm still on the fence whether it's going to be Xbox or PlayStation. But even now, still a second-hand one is anywhere between $850 and $900.
Oh wow!
So like the market here is just gone.
Jeez. But yeah, dude, like I will say, like I bought a Series S for someone a couple months ago, and like, dude, that thing is so small, like unbelievably small. Like
Yeah,
It really is.
Pictures do not do that thing justice.
Yeah, that price I said was for the ones with the disc. The discless ones are cheaper and are more available, but I need a disc because I've got movies.
Yep, I get it. That's one of the major reasons why I wanted to go with the Series X in particular, was mainly just because I got 4K Blu-rays,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I want to watch those. So, but yeah, no, I would say I was just surprised specifically over the summer. But anyway. We got some stuff to cover, but first off, we have our movie corner. We've had a good.
Excuse me. I've definitely played games too.
I thought you said something earlier.
Nope, not at all.
All right, I guess we'll let you talk. Fine.
Okay, all right. I won't take up too much time. I've been playing a lot of stuff in our break, so I'm just going to very quickly back up. James, correct on Hades. 100%. Brilliant game. Sorry I slept on it. Amazing. I'm with you 100%. Ivan, with you 100%. I jumped in on the original Psychonauts, found it charming. I was like, you know what? This is aged. That last level is something. I don't want to hear that music
that last
again.
level, yeah, the Meat Circus. Oh my gosh, like that is a. So you know how normally, like when you have like a boss level or like, you know, like a final level, normally it's like either one of two things. Either it's like an insane like final boss where they're just beating the crap out of you, and like you just have to surmount the odds. This is like a marathon. This is that other version of that.
Yeah, and it's too easy to mess up, and more so than any other part of the game put together. But like the point is, it's still a great game, very charming. Psychonauts 2, incredible. I'm just going to back you up on that. I don't want to take up too much time. I would like to do a spoiler cast on that game at some point, if we have to do a multiverse gaming perspective crossover to make it happen, maybe, because I know Eric is also chomping at the bit to talk about that game. But we'll find a way is the point. Brilliant, brilliant game. However, more recently than that, I have been playing a different game, and that is Deathloop, latest from Arcane, specifically Arcane Lyon, the French studio, as opposed to Arcane Austin, who are the Texas studio working on Redfall. Deathloop is brilliant. I thought Psychonauts 2 was locked in as my game of the year. I think it still is. Deathloop is nipping at its heels. Deathloop is Arcane figuring out their combat systems from Dishonored and making it better than ever, and making it smoother and making it easy to fight your way out of situations, but also bringing over the intelligent systems designs from Prey and wrapping it in this murder Rubik's Cube that you have to solve. And I thought I was going to enjoy it, but Deathloop is excellent. I realize that game is in kind of an awkward spot because it's this weird, oh, it's a timed console exclusive on PS5, but also it's probably the last Arcane game on PS5. So it's kind of weird like that. Find a way to play it if you can. I'm serious, because it is some of Arcane's best work yet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I totally see it.
I completely bounced off Prey, and I've only played the first Dishonored. And like, is this for somebody like me?
What made you bounce off of Prey, and did you like Dishonored? Let me hear that.
I did like the first Dishonored. I liked it very much, so much that I bought the sequel, which never played it.
Okay.
Prey, it was mostly story stuff, actually. To be fair, it was the vibes.
Okay, that's kind of weird, but nonetheless, what I will say is this is much closer to Dishonored than it is Prey. It's like some of the systems from Prey, but the combat and the loop of how it feels to play it is much more like Dishonored, but it's taken a couple of shots of adrenaline in the arm, is the way I describe it.
Cool. I mean, I'm really up for playing it, and with all the good reviews it's getting, especially, and it's part of the reason why I think I might get a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. That's true. All right. So next little portion here. So we've had a bunch of movies that have either had trailers or we've had movie news drop, like as COVID restrictions are kind of going down. You know, we say fingers crossed, kind of going down. We'll see how that actually plays out. So I think there's a little bit more of a reprieve when it comes to movies. Like, you know, Shang-Chi came out and just breaking records and stuff, so it's still really good. There's, you know, they saw some trailers like from Matrix. So we did a couple things, but I'll let James take over here for just a moment. Sir, like, what was it? Was it be our Sherpa across the sea of releases and teases?
Sherpas don't do the sea; they do mountains.
Oh yeah, they do. But I was trying to do something smart on the fly.
Yeah, so it's been an exciting little time for movies in the past month or so. We've had big releases like Shang-Chi breaking the Labor Day weekend. I want to say a 4-day weekend. I know it now holds the record, so well done them. And especially big props to Simu Liu for being brilliant on Twitter and embracing the funny side of the internet. And shutting down every single person who said this film's going to flop because they're, what's the word I'm looking for, racist. So then there's that. With regards to the trailers and stuff, I have adopted a new position of which I just don't watch trailers. For films that I know that I'm going to watch, I am going to avoid trailers like the plague. Because I know I'm going to watch them. So I haven't watched the Matrix trailer, haven't watched the Spider-Man trailer, haven't watched the any of the horror trailers for Last Night in Soho coming up or Halloween. So I will let you guys discuss trailers. That's your thing. Movies themselves. I mean, do we want to do a Shang-Chi review now, or do you want to come to that with all you guys?
All right, I don't know if I didn't ask the rest of you guys. Did you guys see Shang-Chi? Did you guys see Shang-Chi yet?
I have not gotten the chance. I don't know about you, Mike.
Nor have I.
Okay, I'm fine with doing a review now, but not, you know, obviously no spoilers or anything.
Yeah, exactly. If you can keep it spoiler free, I'm totally fine with the review now.
I think it's pretty easy to keep this one spoiler free.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, Ivan. I really liked it.
Oh, yeah,
it was good. Well, it is a Marvel origin film. It's one of the better ones. I mean, they're all quite good. As a film to introduce a character properly, with the caliber being, you know, Iron Man, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange. It is a bit of a high caliber. And Shang-Chi, it is good, and I do like a lot of things about it. My overwhelming feeling about it is that I think there was too much of it and also not enough. And what I mean by that is I think it is just a little bit too long for me. But all the things that happen in it, I liked. I would have liked all of them for like 20 seconds less, but also more. it was such, it's a weird feeling to talk about, but that is the best way that I can describe it. I wanted more of the fight scenes. I wanted more of them being funny together, but I also wanted the film to be shorter. So there's absolutely no logic behind this feeling, but that is where I am. So there's that. With regards to like how it fits into the MCU, very, very interested to see. Going forward, they do a lot of hinting about just how powerful the Ten Rings can be. Stay behind to the credits to find out that particular nugget of information. But yeah, overall, I think it is a good time in the movies, and it's a good soft opening for the real box office big hitters that are going to be coming in the next couple weeks and months, especially Bond, which is within 3 weeks on the horizon. Tickets have gone on sale in the UK and are already beginning to rapidly go out build up. I don't know how big Bond is really in the US, but here it is a phenomenon.
I would say
bigger than Harry Potter in the movies.
Yeah, I can see that. He has more of a pedigree, but I mean, I guess I don't know. Bond is like I feel like Bond's like a big deal, but not like it's more out of like prestige of like, oh yeah, James Bond. Yeah, we know James Bond. It's a known quantity kind of thing. And like, there's definitely like a base of people who really like James Bond stuff, but it's not like I don't feel like it's like a ton of people that go out to go do that. Like I don't know if it's different for you guys, but I never got that impression.
Yeah, it always felt like culturally it was a bigger deal than it was at the box office, almost. If that makes sense.
Like it's like the Super Bowl. Like you respect the Super Bowl even if you don't like football. Like you're like, all right, well, it's a cultural touchstone thing. Like for me, it's kind of like Star Wars, where it's like, yeah, I know what Star Wars is. I don't have like these super fond feelings about Star Wars, but like I'll support it because I know it's a cultural thing.
I see that, and yet Skyfall made over $1 billion in 2012, which, it's not exactly the furthest away in the history of box office, but 2012 to make $1 billion and you're not Marvel, that's really big.
Big deal.
Yeah, but no, like it's touch and go. It's touch and go here with James Bond. Every so often, one will will grab people. Like Thunderball was big. I know that one did really well, but it's just not like then they're like, all right, 6 of them will go by and no one really cares. It's not like a regular thing though.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the London Film Festival coming up in just under a month, and there's a bunch of big stuff playing there, including last night in Soho, the new film by Edgar Wright. Amongst other things, Dune is not part of the festival, but it will be out by then, I think. And that is like the big box office film for me to see. If that does well, that's really interesting. This is Denis Villeneuve's follow-up to Blade Runner 2049, which didn't do as well in the box office as people wanted it to.
Yeah.
So, we're going to end Movie Corner here, basically, because there isn't much more to talk about unless you guys want to do trailer talk. I just want to shout out a movie that I saw today, which is available in the US on HBO Max. I think it might also be in cinemas, and that is Malignant. This is the new film by James Wan. For those of you who don't know who James Wan is, he created the Saw franchise, the Insidious franchise, the Conjuring franchise. He also directed Furious 7, Aquaman, and he, by my reckoning, is the most successful director of the 21st century that began his career this century. Mm-hmm. So there you go. And he's got a new film out called Malignant, and it's really good, but I can't tell you why, because that would ruin the surprises. But if you like horror, and this is an 18, it's an 18 in the UK, which is the highest rating you can get. I assume R is the highest you can get.
You can get NC-17. NC-17's higher, but almost no movie drops like that. So
I would be shocked to surprise. Maybe in America. I don't know what the rating is in America, but this thing is really tough and gory.
I can look at it now.
If you don't like gore and over reliance on blood and violence and themes of domestic abuse, there's not a lot of that, but there is that in here. If you're not a big fan of that, maybe don't try this for you. But if you have a bit of a strong stomach, this film is very, very good.
Yep,
but no one can tell you why.
Yeah, Malignant's rated R.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah,
so if you got HBO Max and you like horror films, I would give Malignant a watch. It's not the best horror film currently out. I would say that's probably The Night House, which is a sort of Lovecraftian style slow burn, which is much more my speed. But Malignant is loads of fun. It's very. If it had come out in the late 80s, early 90s as part of the video nasties, stuff like Videodrome. Even it's got hints of like the opening credits with like an industrial rock song. It reminds me of Seven. So like this is a real like homage, greatest hits kind of horror film that only come around like every 5 or 10 years. This thing's really, really fun. So yeah, Malignant, go watch.
Sweet. I will say I want to know one thing because I watched Shang-Chi as well and I enjoyed it, but I can't really. I will say like I think you're right, at least in terms of with Shang-Chi. I think its strength is that it's not really a superhero movie. Like it's there's some similar beats, but it's very much like a mystical adventure kind of thing, and I enjoyed that. But I specifically want to talk about like the experience. Like I haven't been to a theater since Endgame came out, so it's been a long time. I haven't been to a movie theater since then.
Wow.
Yeah. So that mainly just because there wasn't really anything I really wanted to see in theaters for a while, and then COVID happened, and I was like, all right, cool. Well,
Parasite.
Yeah, but so here's kind of where I'm at right now. So I made a decision of like, okay, I'm gonna go see a movie. I want to see I want to see something, so we decided to go see this. And by the theater I normally go to, which is like a local theater, they were closed. I went on Labor Day, so they were actually closed. And so I was like, I can't be mad about that. Give everybody a day off. That's cool, but I need to go. I want to go see something today. I went to like the fancy theater in town, and I was actually I made a very prominent decision that I wanted to go somewhere that would be like COVID safe, but also at the same time I was willing to pay for like a better experience. So it was not just like regular stadium seating kind of thing. So I paid for something called GPX, which is like supposed to be like the best experience kind of thing. Similar to kind of what places are doing now. Like, yeah, it's like recliners and like, like seat warmers and seat coolers and that kind of thing. But I was more surprised, specifically, I got to like have Dolby Atmos in a theater, which I had never had that yet. So I just had Dolby Atmos like with my headset, like on my Xbox and stuff, and that was kind of it. But they had like a different type of laser projection. I don't remember what it's called, but it was like something better than usual. So it was very interesting, and I also was very surprised that I paid like $11 and I got to see a movie. I was very surprised about that, but it was interesting, like going to see a movie, post or during COVID, because they had like a lot of precautions, like you weren't allowed to like reserve a seat within 5 seats of another person. Wow. Unless they were in your party, and I was like, cool, that's a nice precaution.
Because we have just abandoned all precautions now in the UK.
Yeah.
You can just literally fill up 300 people in a room. And I'm not a fan of it, personally. And I don't care that this is a public forum. I don't support it, despite the fact that I have to for my work. I preferred it when we had minimum 1 seat between groups. But hearing you've got 5, that's just insane. That's amazing.
No, I was very surprised by it. Like, cause they had like regular stadium seating, and like I assume they were packing people in there. But like they had like 5 seats in between people. Like they had a thing of like basically if you're at your seat you can take off your mask, but if you're getting up and going anywhere you have to wear a mask the whole time. Like just I was like, all right. Like I felt relatively safe, and I felt like that was kind of the future for movie theaters in terms of like, all right, in a post streaming world where we're getting like movies day and date and things are up in the air like that. I think if you could provide an experience people can't get at home, besides just having a bigger screen, that might be it.
Yeah, the move towards more comfortable seating, the leather stuff, the recliners, it's becoming more and more standard across certainly here in the UK, in
Yeah, same
America,
here.
China, Japan, Australia as well. It's happening a lot there. People have realised that they would companies would rather have slightly less people in a room, and they'll pay a little bit more, and people would rather be in a room where there's a little bit less people, but you're in a bigger seat.
Yep. No, I think that is like if they keep doing what they're doing and like they can say, hey, like I thought Dolby Atmos was amazing. Like specifically, I watched it during a trailer for Eternals, and like I was just blown away. Like there's a scene where they have like the guy who plays Rob Stark and like he's like his head's like on the ground and he's like firing lasers out of his eyes, and you could hear the lasers going from across the like not only the room but like the screen. You could hear the sound going with it. And I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome.
I've got a story about Dolby Atmos actually. The first Dolby Atmos cinema was in London, and it was in a place called the Olympic Studios, which is a former recording studio. It was where Sympathy for the Devil was recorded, amongst many other things. And it's in Barnes, which is a leafy little suburb just south of the river. And I used to live there, and I went to the first ever screening of Dolby Atmos in the world, the public one. And it was for a showing of Mad Max Fury Road. And before the film started, they did like a thing. All right, everyone in here, we're going to treat you. Close your eyes. And then someone just said, rainforest. And then you heard and you felt and you like all around you in 360 degrees, like rain and like frogs making noises. And they said, okay, now the Shibuya Junction in Tokyo. And then boom, and you're just inside somewhere else. It was amazing. And then we got to watch Mad Max Fury Road. Yeah,
no, it was cool, man. Like I think like I would pay good money like for that kind of experience again. So I just kind of want to throw that out there just to mention that for some.
Cinemas are good actually.
Yeah, like as long as if it was the same way as it used to be before COVID, I'd be like, nah, I'll wait for it to hit online. Or wait for it to hit like streaming services or whatever. But no, I'm like if it's like that, I'm in again. I'm up for it. So, but yeah, let's start getting some of these gaming topics real quick. So, well, really, in terms of the gaming topics, most of the stuff happened last week, and that was during PlayStation's event. They decided to finally have a showcase, and we had some news that dropped. I guess we'll go in chronological order. Honestly, there's maybe like 10 to 12 minutes of good content in that one. Most of it was just repeats of stuff we've already seen, or like, hey, yeah, there's a game you already know about, and just kind of mentioning it again at the end of the summer. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it was. But the first thing that popped up was Knights of the Old Republic getting a remake. And the big news, well, the remake itself wasn't big news. We kind of knew about that like for years. But specifically with PlayStation's going to be having that as a timed exclusive, at least a console launch exclusive for now. So it will be coming to other platforms later. We don't know how long necessarily. I've been seeing a lot of weird pushback on this today. People saying that it's a real exclusive. Like even Sony actually said it's a real exclusive, but then on their own PlayStation blog they say it's a timed exclusive.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of mixed messaging with this one.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because it's officially on PlayStation blog and on the official Star Wars website that it's a console launch exclusive. So I hate to be conspiratorial, but any misdirection feels like willful misdirection. Like, it's very obviously a timed exclusive. Which, look, let's be honest, is a big deal. This game finally happening is a big deal. I would argue this is the Western RPG version of Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is a big game. This is the first role-playing game I ever played. And it's pretty cool. It's an incredible story. People latched onto this game for a reason.
Yeah.
Annoyingly, I already know the twist.
Oh, I don't even know anything about it. I don't really care. It's Star Wars.
Okay.
So that's for me, like I said, I don't have any like real attachment to Star Wars like that. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Have fun with that. But tell us, Mike, old curmudgeon of the cave, did you play KOTOR when it was shiny and new?
I did not play KOTOR when it was shiny and new. No, I did not.
I'm the lone KOTOR fan here. Do I have that right?
I guess so.
All right, well, look, I'll be getting it. If this is done right, this game is a big deal for me and many, many others. Because it's kind of a dream game that I never thought would happen.
For me, it was just the shock value because that game was such a big part of the original Xbox at the time. And for the remake to debut, not only for the remake to debut at a PlayStation event, but it's timed exclusive on PlayStation, I thought that was a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, dude, they're clearly putting some big money behind this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now there's a couple like red flag kind of things to me, which I'm like, I kind of rationalize it away, but it's mostly just little things I've noticed. So one thing is that who it's being made by. It's being made by Aspyr, who's a part of Embracer Group. BioWare has, this EA made a statement saying BioWare has no involvement whatsoever with this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of weird.
Is it?
I mean, like, I'm glad modern BioWare has isn't touching this at all.
But also, BioWare back then, in terms of like an action game developer, they weren't great. I mean, have you tried to play the original Mass Effect?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you're right. You're dead on point. Yeah, I get it.
And like KOTOR is remembered. I haven't played it, but I know it's fondly remembered for the story. People don't go, oh man, the fighting in KOTOR.
Yeah.
So if you can take all those good elements which are intangible, you can't change them, which are the story, and then give it to someone who can make a good action sequence. Who's to say this doesn't make the best of both worlds? You know.
Yeah.
They also said that they have a lot of the original team have been hired by Aspyr. So there is that.
Yeah. And the other one too is that they have like, what was it? So some of the writers who have been hired to work on this have like been on record saying they hate KOTOR as it is, and so it's like these are kind of critiques or things that I'm like, okay, at face value that sounds like a bad thing. But then if you think about it, like I said before, like with the BioWare thing, it's like, yeah, having BioWare not really involved, like in terms of the name recognition, kind of sucks. But then at the same time, I really don't want BioWare involved in this either.
Yeah, it's specifically with this. I think it's one of those things that sounds at face value much worse than it really is. Like in practice, I think if you're remaking a game, you need to respect it. And they say in the PlayStation blog they want to modernize the gameplay while respecting the original story. I think if you're doing that, having someone who didn't vibe with the original game on board to write some stuff might be an interesting idea because you can get an interesting bounce there. You can get an interesting, like, how can I put this? Like if I would love for Doc to be on a Halo game because I disagree with his ideas of Halo so much. Let me put it that way. That's but I would love to have him.
You can hope you can like, bring him into the fold and like maybe it makes it better. Like,
exactly.
That's kind of the appeal.
And you don't want to be surrounded by yes men who all grew up doing this. It's the same reason, like, if you're making a big game or you're making a big movie or whatever, you don't just hire fans of that property because you'll actually end up just with the same thing over again.
Sam, you hire fans, they'll make little screenshots look better, in air quotes.
Oh, God. I'm not doing that one. I'm just not doing that one. But I mean, honestly, the biggest problem to me about this game is that this thing is a ways off. Like, this thing is not close, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Which is a common theme, but We'll get into that.
That is a common PlayStation theme. We're going to announce things that are not coming for a good long time. So
I was going to mention it there, but Tetsuya Nomura had nothing to do with the original Final Fantasy VII, and it's pretty good.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not like the end of the world, but like it's if you think about it, it's like, that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah. Exactly.
But anyway, so next little bit, we basically didn't hear anything of note during like 30 minutes of the show. Pretty much stuff we kind of already knew about. No real surprises. First thing that kind of happened was we got confirmation that Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy are going to PC and getting remasters on PS5.
Which is cool. More
Sony
games on PC. I'll take it.
Yep. But again, not like nothing crazy. Then I get the order mixed up in terms of when things got announced. Was it Spider-Man 2 got announced first, or Wolverine?
No, the other one. The other one was first. Yep.
Yeah. So then we got a teaser for Wolverine, being adapted. Or not one? I guess adapted. I guess technically
adapted.
Works. Yeah. Be having a supposedly exclusive game to PlayStation, also being made by Insomniac. So yeah.
The second big surprise of the show, I would say.
Yeah, the KOTOR was the first one, and this was the second.
Yeah. Again, now to be clear, they were very blunt on PlayStation Blog when they said this game is very early in development. The team making Marvel's Wolverine is actually the same team that made Miles Morales, just to be clear. So, like, when they say this is early, like, this is early. But at the same time, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, Wolverine, that has, like, strong 2023 vibes written all over it.
I think 2025 vibes, right?
I wouldn't go that far. I think early 2024, though.
I mean,
definitely.
Insomniac do work very quickly.
Oh, yeah, sure.
They do.
Yeah.
I think it's... we'll talk about the next game, but then because I think we can kind of talk about these games as a package, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Ivan, if you want to run us down with the next one.
I didn't know you were signaling for me to continue. But all right, cool. Yeah, I can do it. But yeah, so Wolverine, that was a pretty big one. Then we had God of War. They showed God of War.
No. The other Insomniac game.
Oh, Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man 2. Generic trailer. If you played Spider-Man 1, you kind of knew what you were gonna get anyway. It's Peter and Miles together. It's not co-op, still single player, but you're gonna switch back and forth between them. But the most important part
now it's got added Tom Hardy.
No, not Tom Hardy. There's not that Venom, sir.
James, you heard who the voice is, right?
Tony Todd, isn't it?
It's Tony Todd, the original Candyman.
That's okay. You gotta pour one out. That's good.
The original Candyman is Gene Wilder.
Yep, because he definitely can. Anyway.
But I was just gonna say, like, playing off of that, I think, number one, we praise Insomniac, because good lord, they are running laps without breaking a sweat around everyone else. It's not even funny at this point. But number two, I was gonna say, if they're saying Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is 2023, that tells me that Wolverine not getting a year is 2024. That's just the way I read that.
Maybe 2024. See, my thing is I always play a worst case scenario, so I normally overestimate, and most of the time that tends to be right because things bad happen. But this is Insomniac. If anyone's gonna prove me wrong, it's probably gonna be them.
So. What an acquisition they were for Sony, though. I mean, my God. I mean, I would say that they're probably the MVP of Sony's development studios right now.
I agree.
I don't think that's up for debate. I think that's pretty... I mean, look, okay, let's run it down. In the past few years, in 2018, they shipped Marvel's Spider-Man, okay? In 2020, and they shipped DLCs for it, let's note. Like, it's not like they just dropped the game and then they were done. They did 3 DLCs into 2019, I believe, over the holidays. Then in 2020, they have Miles Morales and a remaster of the first game for PS5. Then in 2021, they do Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and now they're saying they've got Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine on deck. Like, that's
like the making of this, and I've never made a video game, but making Spider-Man 2 has to be easier than making Spider-Man because, you know, New York is already there. And I know I'm glossing over a lot of like actual level design, all of that stuff, but the framework, you know, it's easier to build a level on top of a house than it is to build a house.
Oh no, totally. I think that absolutely does come into play, but it's still, even more so than that, I would say, James, it's the fact that they're able to juggle multiple teams so efficiently. A lot of studios have tried to do this whole team and a half, 2-team thing, and it doesn't work for them. They end up collapsing in on themselves. So the fact that Insomniac can do it this well, credit to their producers and how organized they are.
Exactly, and this is no shade towards Naughty Dog or Santa Monica or anything like that, but Insomniac is just killing the game right now.
Oh no, there's plenty of shade from me. Naughty Dog, what the hell's wrong with you, Naughty Dog? You have more developers. You have more developers than them, and you still can't push out more than 2 games?
Oh, all right. So let's put some credit on Sony Santa Monica because they
put out one game last gen. One.
Okay, but their other game got canceled.
All right, so 2, maybe
right.
2.
Okay, all right. And speaking of Sony Santa Monica, they were responsible for the final reveal of the show, and it was the one I personally can't even talk, love the most, which is the official title after all this. It's God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's what I said. Boy Simulator 2.
Okay, fine. Fine. So some quick impressions on God of War Ragnarok. Obviously, I want to hear what y'all have to say, but I'll just say this. Further along than I expected, honestly. Like, it looked far along. The kind of trailer we got with the gameplay spliced in, it looked well polished. It looked like they're doing well. So I believe them when they say it's 2022. Very interesting stuff. Everyone here played God of War 2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. So, like, spoilers for that, but the fact that they're just starting this off with, yeah, Tyr is actually alive, and we're going to find him, and we're going to work with him to stop Ragnarok. But then Freya and Thor are after Kratos. Like, it was a lot right out the gate, and I thought that was really interesting because I think this game could potentially be a lot beefier than 2018 was. But anyways, I've talked enough. So someone else.
But, it took them mere hours, the fans, to wear down Sony enough to know the canonical height of Tyr.
Yeah, they were like, we're not dragging this out. We're not Capcom. We're not going to keep you waiting.
And I just love that he's smaller than Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh yeah, she stays unbested.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I just love the fact that Thor is a big boy in this game. Gotta love that representation.
Look, it's a great design. It's a great design. People
He's
are
a fellow
spoiled.
big boy.
People are spoiled by the MCU. Read up on mythological Thor. He was a big drinker and a big eater and a big brawler. He got a gut, is what it is.
He's got the daddest of bods.
Yep.
Also, just constant asshole. Just in every single story, it's Thor's
pretty much,
asshole.
yeah.
Let me tell you about.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would argue that or argue against it at all. No, I will say for me, I thought God of War was the weakest showing of the first party stuff. And I say that because I felt like it was what we expected and nothing more. And like you definitely feel like this is a cross-gen game.
I agree with that part. I don't necessarily agree with it being the weakest. I would argue that goes to Gran Turismo personally.
Yeah.
But,
oh yeah, we forgot about that.
I mean, the very fact that we forgot about that.
Yeah, the fact we forgot about that makes that the loser. You're right.
Coming out March 4th. Just
wake me up when Gran Turismo goes to a music festival.
Exactly. Coming out March 4th.
Which, given the way Polyphony Digital works, we all know it's not really going to come out March 4th.
Oh, no, dude, no. Like, there is a 99% chance that game gets delayed. I will be legitimately astounded. Polyphony works in a different time zone or time scale anyways, and that's before the pandemic. affected everything. So so there's that. But I will say, Ivan, I agree with you on God of War. It looks cross-gen more than Horizon does.
Yeah,
If that makes any
Horizon
sense.
still looks impressive, at least that much. But yeah, God of War, like,
I'm super excited. That is probably the PlayStation game I'm the most excited for. But yeah, if you look at it, you can tell, okay, this has to run on a PS4 as well. Whereas with Horizon, I'm like, how do you scale this down for the PS4?
Yeah,
Which is, by the way, not the way I expected it to go. I expected it to be the other way around, honestly.
yeah. Oh, I don't know. I felt like I got the opposite impression, I guess, than you did, Sam. I got the impression that this is a shorter, more contained story than anything else. I don't know. This is just based on the trailer itself. I got the feeling like the entire goal is to meet Tyr, and that's kind of it. I got that impression.
I definitely don't.
Sprawling.
Because they've said, here's the reason why. They've said that in the first game, you only visited 6 of the realms, and 2 of those, frankly, were very brief. Like Muspelheim and Niflheim were barely in the game. But you visited 6 of the realms.
Really?
Yeah, and Jotunheim, but it has more story importance, so I'm willing to give it a slide, if that makes any sense. As opposed to just being like tiny side objectives. But in this game, they've said you will be visiting all 9 realms.
All right.
So
again, I'm going just based off of the trailer.
No, that's fine. It's just
the trailer gave the impression that it's very short, like contained.
You could be right, and I hope you're not, but you could be right. The way I read it is, this is a longer game, and that trailer was the first few hours. Like, the way I see it is, Thor attacks them, they go looking for Tyr, and then they find Tyr, and that kicks off the story. Because even if it isn't the end, I don't think this game is going to play out the same way God of War 3 did. I don't have time for that whole tangent. But I say that to say, even if this does depict Ragnarok, and this is the final Norse-only game, so to speak, they still have a lot of characters to introduce. They have a lot of ground to cover.
They do.
I don't... and one of the things is, the director of this game, by the way, is not Cory Barlog, is Eric Williams. And Eric Williams is a guy, he's worked on every God of War game in some capacity, but he said one of the things he wanted to do properly to give it his own stamp is he wanted to mix big epic events with like slice of life. He wanted to bring it, small and relatable, but also, like the name Ragnarok isn't just there for show. So I don't know. I know that probably sounds a bit rambly. I'm expecting this game to be a lot bigger than the 2018 one. We'll see.
They did say this would be the last of the Norse games with God of War, so who knows if they are going to go forward with, go to Egypt or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I also have suspicions that, like, again, I don't want to go off on this tangent too much, James, but I wouldn't be surprised if what they mean by that is this is the last Norse-only game, but what if there's a third game and, that covers a bit of Norse lands, but also we take a big detour into Egypt and we stop by, the Orient or something like that. Like, I feel like they want to move away from we're just stuck in one mythology for several games, like the original running Greek mythology did.
I wouldn't be mad if this version of God of War went back to Greece for a few hours.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Briefly, very briefly, I think it would be fine.
Random idea, they go to Rome. And they meet the Roman gods. And it's like, how are you alive, son of a bitch?
that one's funny. I think...
No wonder I couldn't find you. You were going by Jupiter.
I think going by Greece again is like a shock value is interesting, but I don't want to derail us. The point is, I think there's a lot of
they go to Rome, and it's all like Juno and all of that lot, but it's not the gods, it's the precursors from Assassin's Creed.
Oh my god, that'd be funny.
Oh my god.
No, same idea as before. It's basically all the Greek gods, but they're all wearing silly mustaches. And it's like, no, I am Mars.
Oh my god.
Yeah. All right. I want to go back for a minute. So Wolverine. Sure. What did you guys think of that? Because I've talked to a bunch of different people, and I've heard several different reactions to Wolverine getting his own game. Like he's been in games before. He's had his own games before. Some of them are really good, but at this point in the game, what do you think?
I just want to say the tie-in game for X-Men Origins Wolverine was brilliant.
It actually was way better than it had any right to be.
Way better than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it could be great. I think another story about a grizzled old dad-like figure who's traveling around who doesn't really want to have the power that he has. We have had a few of those in the last few years,
and a lot of them from PlayStation. So it makes perfect sense.
Yep, I mean, we don't know what the game is. I'm basing the speculation on a trailer and the fact that it's Wolverine, you know, and Logan came out a few years ago. So I don't know what this game is. In theory, yes, Wolverine game sounds great. Wolverine game made by Insomniac, sign me up. That sounds interesting. It seems way too early to have anything more than that right now.
I think it has the potential to be great. I think it's going to be a completely different style than the Insomniac Spider-Man games.
Yes.
I don't believe it's going to be open world. I mean, it's Wolverine. I think it's going to be a more linear action-focused experience versus the open world of Spider-Man. I do know that they're pushing for a more mature game also. I hope that it's M-rated. Like James said, it's really too soon to tell. Although I do think it's reasonable to say that it's not going to be the same style of game as the Spider-Man games are.
But well, for the simple reason that it can't be. Like, it literally can't be. The only thing connecting Spider-Man and Wolverine is the fact that they're both Marvel creations. I think those characters are so different in terms of how they interact with other human beings, other heroes, how they interact with the world around them, how the world treats them. You know, the world of Spider-Man love Spider-Man. The world of Wolverine are apprehensive at best.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me pitch you a game idea for Wolverine. So let's say, just for sake of shits and giggles, let's say the game picks up like right at the bar specifically. Like he gets picked up, say, hey, we got a mission for you, whatever. And he's like apprehensive about it. He's like, nah, I need to do this, whatever. They have some sort of story motivation. And he's supposed to go to some place. I was thinking like Krakoa, or you could do Genosha or somewhere like that. Some place like heavy woods and jungle. Like, it could be semi-open world, but focus more on hunting and like climbing in trees. You hunt for prey and that kind of stuff. And you hunt down your enemies and that kind of thing. Like, you could do that. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for a Wolverine game. But it's just interesting. My whole thing is like, how are you going to handle healing factor in that game?
That's a good question. That's a very good question.
That itself will eliminate like a lot of gaming conventions, or at least typical gaming conventions, where it's like, all right, you don't have a health bar. You don't have a health bar. Like, say, okay, you just take too much damage, then you need to like stop and let your body heal yourself. But like, if you get rid of that, like, I feel like that's just such a cheap thing to do. Like, it's the same kind of problem as like Superman, where it's like you can't feasibly have like everybody just walks around with kryptonite kind of thing. Like, that's just not interesting. Like, it doesn't make you feel powerful, it makes you feel weak. But at the same time, if you're Wolverine, like, your healing factor is one of your major aspects that makes you interesting. I mean, I guess you could do some story thing like, oh, well, like in Logan, where it's like, oh yeah, you're losing your healing factor, bub.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be that lazy. I think Insomniac will do something interesting. I do agree with James and Mike that it's very early. Again, we said this game is probably early 2024, even for Insomniac. However, I will say I have faith in it being good because it's Insomniac. And Insomniac, even as a Sony studio, are gameplay first. They always put their gameplay first. At the same time, You're all right. This can't play like Spider-Man. It's not going to play like Spider-Man. It's not going to be Spider-Man. And I think that makes it an interesting challenge because so many of the games Insomniac makes are about, one main character bouncing off of their buddy and they have a ton of gadgets. Ratchet and Clank, Ratchet bounces off of Clank in terms of personality and he has all the different guns. Like the guns are a character essentially in Ratchet and Clank games. It's a huge deal. Spider-Man, and you have all the gadgets. Miles, you have his different powers and stuff like that, and they have their friends that they talk to while they're out swinging. They're out on missions, stopping crime, their love interests, that sort of thing. Wolverine has literally none of that. And I think that makes an interesting challenge. That's a good thing because it means Insomniac has to tackle something new. That's my opinion.
No, you bring up a good point. Like, that is going to make the game more interesting because, you could make a game where he just bounces off of, different characters, where he plays a straight man against a bunch of wacky people the whole time, but I feel like that wouldn't be a good exercise of his character, specifically. Sad dad, loner kind of thing, you could work with that. He's kind of the original sad dad loner.
Yeah, but also, even if they do the whole sad dad thing, I trust Insomniac to do it in an interesting, different, fun way than what we've seen already.
Who would you like to voice him?
I know Urban? Earl Urban?
Carl Urban.
Oh.
Should we just get Hugh?
Yeah. My whole thing is get Steve Bloom.
Yeah.
He used to voice Logan. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, no, he used to voice him in Ultimate Alliance. And pretty much all the Activision games of that era, he was basically the voice of Wolverine. So that's what I would go with.
Well, he can do that, and then as the game finishes, he can just go, "See you, Space Cowboy."
Yeah. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we head out?
No, just the fact that good stuff coming all around all these platforms. A lot of these games were pushed further out than I'd have liked due to the pandemic, but lots of good games coming.
Yep. Heads up too. Spooktober's coming up. For those of you who don't know, every October we do a recommendation from each of us between movies, TV shows, video games, podcasts, whatever. Anything that gets you in the Halloween spirit. We're going to do that again this year like we normally do. I'm actually working on my list of things I want to watch and some suggestions I already have. I'm going through it now.
It's getting increasingly difficult to do this every year.
Oh, not for me, man.
To not repeat the things that we said before.
Well, that's the thing. If you always watch things you never saw before, can't repeat them.
Yeah, but even me, the person who watches three new movies a week, it's difficult to find stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one of mine that I have. I'm watching through it now. I'll tell you one of mine after the show because I think you'll find it interesting. But yeah, I normally for Spooktober, what I end up doing is I go out of my way to watch things I never watched before. I normally do things like, all right, watch a classic I've never seen before, or pick just a random thing on Netflix and just see what happens, if it's any good or not. And sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. So, but yeah, sometimes you remember something oh yeah, I forgot about that movie, and you can bring that up. So that's what I do every year, and it's worked out pretty well. So, all right, we'll do our outros. Mike, where can the people find you, sir?
All right, guys, you can find me on Twitter at The Truth of Mike P, Xbox at Mike P The Truth, and you can find what I write on Level 1 Gaming at lv1gaming.com.
And James?
The good people and the bad people can find me on Twitter at James_S Wilson, and every Friday at 7 p.m. British Standard Time on Radio Harrow for Culture Corner.
All right, and for Sam?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Samuel Tolbert. That's TOLBERT. Busy writing stuff over at Windows Central.
All right, you can find me a Multiverse Show on Twitter as well, or Anchorman V2 on the gaming platforms. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Multiverse Show, Season 5, Episode 25, the greatest show on Mondays. And we are out of here, boys. All right, we're clear.